All right. Hello, everybody. This is Philip Cripe from hashtag Daily Crypto News. I'm hearing myself all over the place. Just a second. I have to make sure everything works. I've actually seen things not work before, so I have to jump in. I'm actually hearing myself multiple times. There we go. All right. Today I want to start out with something a little different. Um, I've I've gotten hooked on a series about some guys buying a soccer football club in the UK with no prior experience. And one of the things they do at one point is one of them goes to the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles, Jeffrey Lurie, and asks him for advice. And he says, "Enjoy every minute of it. Sports, the reason it's popular is because it's unpredictable. And the moment you think you've got a really good team, you'll probably have some bad games and it'll kill you." It's interesting to me that he says sports, the reason it's popular is because it's unpredictable. I feel like sometimes crypto is popular because it's unpredictable. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And for the people out there building projects as well, like I am, I hope you have a team that you feel like that about, just like I feel about the teams I work with. So that's just something I wanted to throw out there before jumping straight into the news. Today is the 28th of September, 2023. Thanks for joining. All right. So let's talk about Curve Finance founder Igorov. It's clearing Aave debt, 42.7 million yet to be paid. Curve Finance founder Michael Igorov has settled his outstanding debt on the decentralized lending platform Aave. Currently, Igorov still maintains a collateral of 253.7 million CRV, equivalent to $132 million, that he will use to pay the remaining debt in other DeFi protocols. It's a lot of debt. It's actually impressive. All right. So what else is going on? Coinbase CEO slams Chase Bank's UK crypto ban. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong publicly criticizes Chase Bank's decision to ban crypto transactions for its UK customers, calling the move totally inappropriate. Armstrong also urges UK officials to examine whether Chase Bank's actions align with the country's policy goals, expressing hope that the bank might reconsider its stance. This is something I looked into actually quite a bit, and it seems like they're just trying to cover themselves because the new regulations coming out, they can't necessarily do things the way they have been. But we'll see how that goes. As always, it's kind of the way it is. Tech Petrol and pioneers gas-driven crypto mining in Argentine Patagonia. So that's the southern part of Argentina. It's famous for raising cattle, a lot of grasslands. It's just north of an island, and then you go further south, and you're in Antarctica. So it's not the warmest place in the world either, but it's a big exporter of beef. So let's see. Tech Petrol plans to launch its first gas-powered crypto mining facility in Argentine Patagonia by mid-fall. The project aims to utilize otherwise discarded gas, merging eco-awareness with profit motives. Tech Petrol CEO Ricardo Marcus emphasizes the company's commitment to environmental responsibility. So what kind of gas are they going to use? Are they going to use gas from like landfills and that sort of? This endeavor stems from a dual motivation, advancing their crude oil production while capitalizing on otherwise discarded gas. So they're going, okay, the facility in the Los Toldos 2 Este region, located north of Vaca Muerta in Argentine Patagonia. So they're going to be taking the gas that's created from their oil drilling operations. Interesting. That's actually fascinating. So he says, rather than releasing the gas into the environment, we've chosen to embark on cryptocurrency mining operations. Consequently, this move paints a picture of an energy sector eager to adapt and change. A lot of oil derricks do have to burn gas to function. Any of you guys in the oil industry, you can jump in and say something about that if you'd like. So, U.S. House Committee urges SEC to pause rulemaking, cites lack of comprehensive analysis. We'll talk about this a few times because there was a hearing yesterday. The U.S. House Committee has sent a letter to SEC Chair Gary Gensler expressing concerns over the Commission's recent rulemaking process, including a lack of stakeholder feedback and comprehensive economic analysis. The committee calls for a halt in SEC rulemaking until a thorough evaluation of the cumulative impact of various rules is conducted, particularly in the areas of private funds, equity market structure, and corporate governance. The letter also highlights the SEC's aggressive agenda and shortened comment periods, which the committee believes has led to reduced public input and insufficient time for staff research, echoing concerns from an October 2022 Inspector General statement. Hi, PK786B. Nice to have you with us, as well as those that haven't commented. So let's see. Video game actors announce plans to go on strike. Is this like Hollywood? Are they scared of AI? Video game actors have voted to go on strike pending the resolution of issues with publishers. Actors and motion capture performers unite for equity. 98% of video game actors want the strike. Wow, that's huge. What is the... So in a significant development, the Interactive Media Division of the Screen Actors Guild, SAG-AFTRA, has voted to authorize a strike if ongoing negotiations with video game publishers fail to yield a favorable new contract for voice actors and motion capture performers. While the voter turnout was approximately 27%, an overwhelming 98% of the 34,687 participants supported the strike. Negotiations between SAG-AFTRA's video game representative and Signatory Game Studios have begun, with meetings scheduled for multiple days this week. That's crazy. Did not expect to talk about that today. Binance struggles to find new banking partners in France. Not surprised. I also struggled finding a bank. I'm French and American. I had a hard time finding a bank in France. Binance has announced that it is currently working to onboard new banking partners in France. Ongoing regulatory struggles and global adjustment. Yes, France is absolutely horrible for banking. Not only are the costs usually high, but if you want to get anything transferred, it takes forever. My experience with banks in France was one of the worst in the countries I've ever been to. Not as bad as Montenegro. It's worst banks I've ever run into in my life. But there's obviously worse elsewhere. SBF's lawyers cleared to ask FTX employees about drug use in court. SBF's lawyers have been given the clearance to ask FTX employees about drug use. The pretrial ruling clears the way for an interesting legal battle. That's a very strange question to ask. Former bank CEO sinks company in crypto investment scam. Former CEO stands accused of sinking the Heartland's Tri-State Bank by utilizing company funds for a crypto investment that ultimately turned out to be a scam. Heartland Tri-State Bank primarily served local farmers and businesses by offering lending services. Shareholders of the now defunct bank are left grappling with the aftermath of the financial wreckage. Dude, that's disgusting. That's such a waste of a community's hard-earned cash to just, throw it away that way. It's very sad. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, man. All right. That's that one hit me a bit differently. BIS chief calls on countries to have a legal framework that supports CBDCs. So what's this all about? Augustin Carstens, BIS general manager, urged governments to create a legal framework to ease the creation and introduction of CBDC. The BIS chief found it unacceptable that unclear or outdated legal frameworks might impede the implementation of CBDCs. For countries creating CBDC laws, Carstens listed three key factors. Countries must protect CBDC users' privacy and data, sustain the financial system, and allow them to choose between CBDCs and other currencies. So it's the Bank for International Settlements, a global bank. In a speech delivered on September 27th at the BISIH FSI conference in Switzerland. According to Carsten, citing an International Monetary Fund report, over 80% of central banks either lack the legal ability to issue digital money under current legislation or face uncertain legal limitations. According to him, this must be changed since the public expects money to meet their wants and aspirations. What if they don't want their money to be central bank controlled? What about those aspirations? Just wondering. Gary Gensler still hung up on crypto regulation, won't recognize Ripple's win. Gary Gensler portrays the SEC as crypto's best policing agency before the House Financial Services Committee on Wednesday. Gensler continues to argue that the vast majority of crypto investment tokens are securities, a claim that a U.S. District Court judge explicitly rejected in a 34-page ruling in July of this year. Representative Patrick McHenry, who chairs the United States House Financial Services Committee, hints at subpoenaing the SEC over documents related to former FTX CEO SBF. SEC Gary Gensler is accused of choking off the digital asset ecosystem, in addition to refusing to be transparent with Congress in the connection between the Commission, FTX, and SBF. Yeah, so in the US, there's a big debate over why the SEC didn't go after FTX or other companies that were doing illegal activities, but goes after companies that might not be. And there seems to be preferential treatment. There's a whole debate about that. So Saturday, I'm doing a show with we're going to go over the Republican primary debate. It'll be the same time as usual, but we're going to go over the Republican primary debate, and possibly before that, which is 2 hours already, before that, I might actually go over the video of Gary Gensler before Congress and talk about that a little bit. And then we'll go into the debate and talk about that from a crypto standpoint. What do these different policies and what do these discussions have to do with crypto that these guys are talking about? So that's going to be a special on Saturday. I might actually split the two up. I'm not sure yet. Chainlink expands cross-chain capabilities to Base network. Chainlink has extended its cross-chain interoperability protocol to Base, an Ethereum Layer 2 network incubated by Coinbase, aiming to facilitate seamless communications between various blockchains and traditional Web 2 applications. Several projects, including Raft, Nuon, Folks Finance, and Polychain Monsters, are already integrating CCIP on Base, with the protocol generating over $86,000 in revenue since its July debut. Chainlink's CCIP also shows promise in bridging traditional financial systems with blockchain technologies, as evidenced by successful Swift-based payment experiments with leading banks like Citibank and BNY Mellon. Interesting. Why Do Kwon can't face the SEC in the US? His lawyers tell all. Is it because he's arrested in Montenegro? Do Kwon's legal team argues that he cannot comply with the SEC's request for a US-based deposition due to his current detainment in Montenegro. Okay, this is getting close to home for me. This is probably a 10-minute drive from where I live. Kwon, the former CEO of Terraform Labs, was charged by the SEC over the collapse of algorithmic stablecoin Terra USD, which led to billions in losses for investors. Both the United States and South Korea have submitted extradition requests for Kwon, adding another layer of complexity to the ongoing legal proceedings. So he's in trouble in 3 countries, including Montenegro. One of the things in Montenegro is that apparently, supposedly, allegedly, according to the court and documents the previous government received, he or his team would have illegally given financial donations to the political party that won the most recent elections and haven't formed a government yet. So the idea is it's illegal for foreigners to give donations to political parties in Montenegro. If they did that, that would be a form of bribery and also illegal campaign donations. So that's also under investigation here in Montenegro. It's a whole mess. And it's caused friction between the old government and the new one. They could have potentially built a political alliance and a coalition, and there'd be a government right now in Montenegro. But there isn't, because they can't get along anymore, partially because of this. It's a whole thing. Anyhow, Montenegrin politics is not something most of you guys probably care about. Crypto's new foe, the dreaded US government shutdown. Cryptocurrency has faced its fair share of adversaries, volatile markets, regulatory challenges, and security threats, to name a few. But now the digital asset realm faces a new hurdle, one that could potentially reshape the landscape: the potential shutdown of the US government due to a congressional budget impasse. While experts assure us that critical matters in the crypto industry won't vanish into the abyss, there's a palpable tension in the air. Significant issues risk being dragged out indefinitely. That's not exactly true. That's a hard thing to argue, I would say. So it's extremely unlikely this will last long. The main thing is that the Republicans in Congress want to vote on things line by line instead of all at once, so they can control spending a bit more. Hi, Saber user 8002F and Binance user 8E674. Also, we saw the Senate come up with something. I think we'll talk about that later. ChatGPT gets massive upgrade with no limits. Details. ChatGPT receives a significant upgrade, allowing it to surf the web. Websites can now dictate how they interact with ChatGPT. The Browse with Bing feature is initially available for Plus and Enterprise users, but will soon be accessible to all. That's interesting. Previously, ChatGPT was restricted, its knowledge confined to a cutoff in September 2021. But now the shackles are off. With this new feature, websites can dictate how they wish to interact with ChatGPT. It's as if OpenAI handed the baton to web developers, allowing them a say in this AI-human collaboration. So if I have a website, does that mean I can decide if ChatGPT has access? Because that could be really good for marketing, just like people try to make sure Google has access to their site and can promote it through that. Maybe that could be the new thing, having AI do that. Behind Linda Yaccarino's real reason for becoming the ex-CEO. It's a power play, a chess move, and possibly the most daring gamble of her career. Linda Yaccarino's rise to the helm of X has ruffled more than a few feathers, and the whispers haven't been all sweet. But let's cut through the grapevine and lay it bare what really drove Yaccarino to take on this seemingly insurmountable challenge. Yaccarino's ascent isn't a cakewalk. It's more like a precarious dance on the edge of a cliff. And this isn't just any cliff, it's the notorious glass cliff. The concept birthed at the University of Exeter suggests that women more often than not get handed the top-tier leadership roles when things are already spiraling. A crisis, a fall from grace, a sinking ship, you name it. It's as if the corporate world sets them up for an "I told you so" moment, a vindication of outdated gender stereotypes. I highly doubt that's the case here. But Yaccarino, she's no damsel in distress, nor a pawn in someone else's game. She's seen the Wired headlines, the ones hinting she's merely teetering on the edge. But those critics seem to have convenient amnesia, neglecting her past roles, accomplishments, and the promise she brings to the table. In the cutthroat realm of digital platforms, the 2024 US presidential election looms large. A significant litmus test for the newly minted CEO, especially given the re-entry of heavy hitters like former President Donald Trump into the X platform. Yaccarino is embracing for impact, ensuring the platform girds its loins against potential pitfalls like manipulation and inauthenticity. However, the real question is about the green, the advertising dollars. The wind's whisper of uncertainty, and Yaccarino may have to shake things up. There's chatter about Elon Musk's grand plan for X, transforming it from a mere platform to an everything app. But here's where it gets spicy. Yaccarino is hinting at imminent voice calls, video calls, and wait for it, payment functionalities, not to mention the company's sudden interest in squeezing more out of its proprietary data. So like, there's a lot in here, but basically, she's the right fit for Elon Musk's plans, it seems, for X becoming the everything app because of her past experience with other types of platforms. A lot of people were complaining that she might be controlling and censorship heavy, but that's been kind of kept at bay. Gary Gensler rushes companies to IPO ahead of government shutdown. As the shadow of a government shutdown stretches over Washington, the heart of America's financial system finds itself under unprecedented stress. Gary Gensler, the bold and unflinching chair of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, is in a race against time. His message: companies eyeing Wall Street should make their move, and fast. The clock is ticking, and once it stops, the SEC might be rendered nearly powerless. Reducing staffing at the SEC to barely their levels is not just about a few furloughed employees, it's a chokehold on America's economic vitality. Imagine a Wall Street where the SEC, the watchdog of the financial world, operates at less than 10% of its capacity. That's the grim future Gensler forewarned, painting a picture of an SEC unable to respond to market fluctuations, leaving it vulnerable and exposed. The core functions of the SEC aren't just about fancy boardrooms and suited men. They monitor U.S. markets, ensuring fairness and transparency. But with the potential shutdown, tasks like rule writing or green lighting companies' IPOs will be in deep freeze. So that's the important thing there. So in the hypothetical world of a post-shutdown, the SEC, only a small fraction, about 440 out of its 4,600 strong force, would be operational. It's a pretty small team to be doing so much. Hong Kong's JPEX crypto scandal, a deep dive into the $175 million controversy. If you're interested in that, go ahead and jump in and check the article. That'd be interesting. Hi, Saber user 8002F. Will there be a role for the digital currency market will there be any decision against Binance in the US? So I didn't understand your first question, because I'm guessing in the future, the digital currency market should have even more of a future once governments jump in on that. Will there be any decision against Binance in the US? I don't know. I don't have access to the evidence. I don't have access to the judge, and I also don't have access to any of the details. We'll have to see. Yeah, it's hard to say. It's really, really hard to say. I think it helps Binance that they closed their operations in Russia as far as the money laundering part and not respecting sanctions. A lot of transactions from Russia were going through Binance. I do know that. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. So perhaps that was part of it. So that helps their standing with the SEC and the FTSE and every regulator in the US, I believe. So we'll see how that goes. But it's they're trying to follow regulations everywhere they go. It's seeming that way because they've left markets in Europe and come back later when they were prepared for the new regulations. So Binance seems to be adapting as much as possible to regulations. So why Rep. Tom Emmer thinks SEC chair can't be trusted, the inside story. Majority Whip Tom Emmer questioned SEC Chair Gary Gensler's ability to regulate impartially, citing Gensler's 18-year career at Goldman Sachs and his loyalty to large financial institutions. Emmer, a known crypto advocate, criticized Gensler for potentially stifling innovation and competition, especially in the crypto space, at the expense of everyday Americans. The hearing also featured Representative Patrick McHenry, who accused Gensler of choking off the digital asset ecosystem and lacking transparency with Congress, adding to the growing tension between the SEC and lawmakers advocating for a balanced regulatory framework. So I think, oh, yes, it's here. Actually, maybe we should watch this together. It's not long.
Questions that require a yes or no answer. And in the interest of my limited time, I'd appreciate it if you would comply with that. Mr. Gensler, is it fair to say generally that large institutions in any given industry benefit more from regulatory uncertainty than everyday market participants or smaller institutions who don't have the scale or the capital to fund expensive compliance?
Hi, Andela 3C155. Nice to have you with us.
Large institutions could benefit from uncertainty.
Reclaiming my time. The answer is yes, sir. Mr. Gensler, you had an 18-year career at Goldman Sachs where you were partner and co-head of finance, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And is it correct to say that you made most of your personal wealth directly through your employment at this bank, Goldman Sachs?
I've done well since then too, sir.
I'll take that as a yes as well. You described the SEC under your leadership as the cop on the beat watching out for our constituents, correct?
I think that's a mandate that Congress.
Yeah, and I
has
think
given
you've
us.
said that, reclaiming my time. The answer is yes, sir. If you could just comply with what I've asked, I'd appreciate it. But given your 18-year career at one of the biggest banks in the world and the personal financial fortune you amassed there, do you think it's possible for you to serve as an impartial regulator and not favor large financial intermediaries?
Absolutely, sir.
Well, Mr. Gensler, do you believe the vast majority of digital assets meet the investment contract test and are therefore securities operating illegally outside of the U.S. regulatory umbrella?
As I've said, many of these assets are basically the public is anticipating
Sir, is that
profits
a yes?
based on the efforts of others.
Is the answer then yes?
Again, without prejudging anyone, I do think that the significant
Reclaiming my
majority
time.
are
I'll take it as a
investment
yes. And to be
contracts.
clear, sir, this perspective has nothing to do with a concern you noted in the speech last
interesting.
year, where you said, quote, over the past year, several bank executives have shared their concerns with me about the sheer number of depositors who have moved money from their bank accounts into crypto-related exchanges and wallets, end quote, right?
The concern that those bank executives raised was that there's
Again, I'm
those
reclaiming my time,
customers were
sir.
getting
No,
hurt.
I've asked you to answer the questions as short as I can so I can use the time I have. And it's clear that you would like to avoid answering the questions, in my opinion. An Obama-appointed judge in the Southern District of New York, a bank-friendly jurisdiction where you bring most of your cases, recently found that decentralized financial technology, quote, not only removes the so-called middlemen from these transactions, but it also allows users to interact through a variety of methods in an easy and efficient manner, end quote. The court also said underwriters like the ones at banks where you work, sir, are, quote, precisely the types of individual roles that decentralized exchanges were designed to eliminate, end quote. Mr. Gensler, can you assure this committee that your style of regulation by harassment towards digital asset innovation is to the benefit of every American and not driven by your desires to protect industry incumbents?
This is a field that's rife with fraud and manipulation, and I'm looking out for the American investors who've been hurt by the crypto.
Yeah, I'll
fraudsters
reclaim my
and
time. Mr.
scammers.
Gensler, despite your years of rhetoric, like today, I'm convinced you are not an impartial regulator. Instead, it's clear that you are working to consolidate your own power, even though it means crushing opportunities for everyday Americans and, frankly, the financial future of this country. Even the federal courts are highlighting the damage you, sir, are doing to our constituents, and they're telling you that you don't have the legal authority to accomplish your goal of squashing competition in the financial markets. Congress has been telling you that too. Now, Mr. Gensler, I believe our great financial system is the definition of freedom in this country. And congressional policies must provide room for the traditional financial system to evolve alongside the disruptive digital asset ecosystem. That said, it cannot be understated that a common theme throughout your career, sir, is your relentless loyalty to the largest financial institutions at the clear expense of innovation, competition, and everyday Americans. I yield back.
I suspect some large financial institutions
Let me
would not
yield
agree
back.
with that.
There's no question, sir. I've yielded back my time.
Wow, that's pretty straightforward there. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Global investors on alert. UN dances through Golden Week challenges. So the upcoming Golden Week holiday in China will temporarily suspend trading in mainland China while it continues globally, which might lead to asset value disparities. The People's Bank of China has implemented stricter currency control measures, resulting in declining trading volumes and limiting opportunities for traders. Global issuers show increased interest in issuing yuan-denominated bonds, taking advantage of low interest rates. We'll see how that goes as well. Hi, Masoud Ali 1612, Binance user 4C0E8, Binance user A6065, Mole 299. Nice to have you guys with us. Anybody I forgot to mention? No, it looks like I got all of you. Nice to have you with us. So let's see how. What else is happening? PaySafe halts euro deposits for Binance users. What you need to know. PaySafe has abruptly stopped processing euro deposits for Binance users, prompting Binance to advise its users to convert euro balances to USDT before October 31st, 2023. Ah, crap, this affects me. Anyhow, the decision affects multiple Binance services, including spot trading in euro pairs, spot trading bot services, and auto invest euro plans for PaySafe users. Despite these challenges, Binance assures that all funds are secure and is working on integrating new fiat channels to provide a seamless experience for its users. So I literally can't use Binance and euros. Those are two things that don't work together anymore. Interesting. I've had many problems with this before. As an American, I can't use it anyways, but as a Frenchman, I could before. But it's becoming difficult. Like we saw earlier, they're trying to find a bank in France. I believe I've told them, I've said before they should use Wise. That's what I went to in France when banking was difficult in France. It'd be a good partnership if Wise were open to it. Binance CEO Changpeng CZ Zhao has refuted claims of owning COMEX, which acquired Binance's business in Russia. Concerns about the lack of transparency regarding COMEX's ownership and management have been raised with suspicions of a link to Binance. So he's saying he doesn't own it, but who does? Binance's departure from Russia was driven by regulatory pressure, but the transition to COMEX, a relatively unknown exchange, has sparked speculation. In August, Dutch users were informed that they could no longer use the exchange, and instead they were strongly encouraged to switch to the newly established exchange, COMEX. Notably, there are significant uncertainties surrounding COMEX. The exchange does not disclose information about its ownership or management. The only contact information provided is an email address, and inquiries about ownership have gone unanswered. Additionally, COMEX mentions that any legal disputes sorry, I just got lost in here. The only contact is an email address and inquiries about ownership have gone unanswered. Additionally, COMEX mentions that any legal disputes would be resolved in Hong Kong. Binance has also declined to provide details about COMEX's ownership, but denied that the exchange utilizes the same underlying technology as Binance. According to a page on CoinMarketCap owned by Binance, COMEX describes itself as a rapidly expanding cryptocurrency exchange backed by top-tier crypto VCs. Still, it does not specify who these venture capitalists are. In a statement released Tuesday, COMEX stated that it offers a wide range of product suites, including spot futures, simple futures, and peer-to-peer services to engage with the cryptocurrency world. So yeah, there's suspicions that Binance may have something to do with COMEX. The terms of services are really similar. The API code is very similar. So that suggests that Binance might try to maintain regional control in Russia through a proxy firm akin to its approach in the Netherlands. If true, this could be a risky strategy given the increasing scrutiny the exchange faces from regulators worldwide. Binance is now encouraging Russian users to switch to COMEX by offering a 25% trading discount for BNB holders on the newly established exchange. On a separate note, the leading exchange faces challenges securing a banking partner in France, which we've talked about. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining in. I think, yeah, that's the news for today. Let's check out CoinMarketCap real quick and see what the big winners and losers are of the day. See what the fear and greed index is at 39. That's not the greatest, but let's see. Bitcoin is down 0.79% in the last 24 hours to $26,526.25. Ethereum stands at $1,626.22, up 0.09%. so barely moving in the last 24 hours. BNB is down 0.33% in the last 24 hours to $213.83. XRP stands at 50 cents 12, down 0.97% over the last 24 hours. Cardano's ADA is at 24 cents 63, down 0.23%. Dogecoin is at 6 cents 0.96, down 0.039% in the last 24 hours. Sol from Solana is down 0.95% in the last 24 hours to $19.22. TRX from Tron is down 0.49% to 8 cents 549. And Toncoin, so Ton, T-O-N, is down 2.06% to $2.21. Let's take a look at the biggest losers first, and then the biggest winners. I'll just do the top 3 biggest losers right now. Casper CSPR down 2.61% in the last 24 hours to $0.031. Injective INJ down 2.52% in the last 24 hours to $7.08. Conflux CFX is down 12 cents 31. Is down to 12 cents 31, down 2.25% in the last 24 hours. Let's take a look at the biggest winners. Those are much more substantial in percentage. Compound COMP up 13.07% to $46.10. Rune from Thorchain is up 5.92% to $1.88. And the XDC networks, XDC is up 3.92% to 4 cents 987. High Binance's are F1BE3. Nice to have you with us. So that's it for today. So Saturday. So first things first, as far as the news, make sure you subscribe so you get notifications the next times we go live. Tomorrow we're having a special guest and an interviewing team that are going to go through an interview for the first hour, and then I'll jump on and do the news the hour after that. So make sure you tune in tomorrow for that. Same time, same place. Bigger team and a more specific discussion for the first half. And then Saturday, I'll do a show where I go over the American Republican primary debate, which is something I'll watch anyways because I get to vote. So that's something I need to be aware of as a citizen, and something I want to be aware of as a commentator anyways, and also as somebody who sometimes gives advice to people when they ask for it. So have a great Thursday. See you guys tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.